In 1932, the Grandin Theater opened and sold tickets to the talking pictures to the people of Roanoke for 25 cents apiece, 10 cents for kids. A lot has changed since that day in 1932, in Roanoke and in the movie industry. One thing that has mostly stood firm as a part of the community is the Grandin Theater itself. It has had challenges, changed owners, been renovated, and relaunched more than once. Since being bought in 2002 by the Grandin Theater Foundation with the help of Roanoke citizens, including Ed Walker and Warner Dalhouse, the Grandin Theater is here to stay. I am here to take a look around this amazing piece of Roanoke history and to meet with the Executive Director of the Grandin Theater Foundation, Ian Fortier. 3 Questions with Ava Rosa is going to the movies. Thank you for meeting with me today, Mr. Fortier. The Grandin Theater is celebrating its 85th anniversary this year. What do you think has allowed the theater to stay open for so long?
I actually think that the location of the Grandin Theater in Grandin Village has been the reason for its longevity. Many of the independent nonprofit cinemas that once existed in Roanoke were all downtown or in or around the downtown area. And because of real estate concerns and developers, a lot of those theaters struggled to stay open, so they became vulnerable to being knocked down and having parking lots or new buildings put on top of them. But here in the Grandin Village, the Grandin Theater acts as the economic, the geographic, and the cultural anchor for the village. So I think that its role that it plays in this particular neighborhood has been really prominent in its viability over time.
When my family wants to go out to the movies, we always look up what's playing online and hope that it's playing here. As a nonprofit movie theater, what are the biggest differences between the Grandin Theater and most other theaters around the town?
As a nonprofit movie house, we have an opportunity, because we're backed by a foundation, to engage the community in many different ways. Corporate movie theaters are often housed in national big cities or even internationally, and they're more focused on product, they're more focused on profit. Independent nonprofit cinema houses like the Grandin are based in the community. We're run by the community in the sense that we want to make sure that what we're showing is what the community wants us to show. This is more of a cultural community center than it is a movie theater. So ensuring that our doors are open to the people in our community for things that are more than just movies, like birthday parties and business seminars, weddings, other opportunities like community conversations to participate in the theater are important in the nonprofit world, and this is why independent nonprofit cinemas are more relevant, in my opinion, than the corporate product models. Corporate theaters have their place. They provide products that are interesting to certain demographics, but their movies are more about entertainment. Our movies are more about the experience.
Since you became the executive director of the Grandin Theater Foundation, you have talked about other ways the Grandin Theater can be a part of the cultural future of the Roanoke Valley. What are some things you see the Grandin Theater doing in the next 85 years?
Ooh, this is a big question, Ava Rosa. In the next 85 years, well, let's see. In the next 85 years, there's all sorts of potential for us. I'd like us to continue to diversify the way that we engage the community. I'd like for us to think about building exhibits in this organization and in the building that speak to the last 85 years. I'd like to think about jazz clubs and green roofs where we grow vegetables on top, elevators for our patrons. I'd like to think about more diversified programming and more series that are free to the public. I'd like to think about ways where we can be more involved in our community, the Grandin Village and Raleigh Court. And I'd like to think about having young filmmakers who are supported by the theater developing their films and using that medium to go out into the world and tell their story and find their voice.
Thank you for your time today, Mr. Fortier. As promised, I have asked just 3 questions. After my questions, though, I always give guests on my show the opportunity to speak directly to my audience and share anything they would like everyone to know.
I just wanted all of you to know that this young lady is fantastic, and we hope to have her as a documentarian in the Grandin Theater Film Lab in the next year or two before she gets snatched up by some other program. Come on down to the Grandin Theater, enjoy the best popcorn in town. See ya.
Thank you. Movies can take the viewer anywhere to experience anything. Movies are a shared culture, and the Grandin Theater is a beautiful place to experience that culture. I can't help but think how much has changed since 1932. Aside from a 25-cent ticket costing $9.75 now, the world is different in just about every way. The way we receive talking pictures, as they called it back then, is in everyone's hand and in every home. The technology has changed, but much of the movie-going tradition remains. The Grandin Theater is a window to our past, but also a window into the experiences, stories, and adventures of other people and the creations of all the dreamers who continue to make the movies an experience people still love today. For 3 Questions with Ava Rosa, thank you for watching. See you next time.